And good evening, everyone. ESS, Empire State Sports, proudly presents the Wise Guys Sports Talk Show. Your host tonight, Dave Bartlett, Joey Rio, and myself, Pete Gosa. Our very special guest, assistant coach, the Tampa Bay Lightning, Derek Lalonde. Welcome to the program again, Derek.
Thanks for having me. Nice hats, boys.
Yeah. We're all fans, that's for sure. And me being down in Florida in the winters now, as you know, huge fan base down there. It's unbelievable. The night I went to that game, I never saw so much blue in my life. It was awesome.
It's an electric fan base. I think it's something that's built over years, and then obviously all the success of late, it's kind of peaked. It's been awesome, and it's a blast every night.
Yeah, and I love the atmosphere. You and I talked a little bit there after the game, and I definitely picked the right game to go to that night. Unfortunately, we were in a losing way, but it was still a fantastic night for us, and I thank you very much again.
You got it. Anytime.
So I got a bunch of questions. I might as well start off, be the bad guy here. The first thing on the agenda, Kisser, I'll get right out of the way, is I had somebody ask, how's Brandon Point, and where is he in the mix here?
Yeah, it doesn't look very good. He had a lower body injury, and it's going to be a little longer than we expect. So I would not expect him anytime soon. We're going to plan as such, just like we did in the last series. So some unfortunate news there. Obviously a big piece. He drives a lot of our offense, and the center depth is a big issue. Probably a lot of the reason why we played 11-7 through that Florida series. But with that said, our guys really stepped up, and maybe a blessing. I think our guys kind of played with a little more sense of urgency defensively, which you saw in that Florida series. So there's many a times in that series we would like to, okay, Pointer, you're up next. Unfortunately, he wasn't available, and we won't expect him the next series either.
That's horrible. That's too bad. Yeah. I know he's such a spark plug for your team. I know a lot of people love the way he plays, and I'm one of them. He's a go-getter, that's for sure. So I guess I'm going to ask this question. It's probably going to be a stupid question, but I'll ask it anyway. Did you really think you were going to sweep these guys? I mean, they throughout the year, they were point scorers, boy, and I'll tell you what, and you guys just walked right over them.
They are a special team, obviously 122-point President Trophy team. You know what? You were so much in the process. I was telling someone today, I was laughing that, we had our prep meetings, and I remember going through a meeting, looking at the guys, and we're going to win this series, and this is why, and boom, 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 boom. Then I left the room, and in the back of my head, I'm like, we're going to lose in 5 games. I didn't know if I really meant it, but we knew we were up against it. It's a really good team. Momentum is something that is a huge force, and we found a way to get it and take the momentum away from them. And playoff hockey is a lot different. We experienced it in 2009 in our 62-win season. It's just harder. It's harder to create offense. It's you got to be patient. You got to stick with it. And we saw them off their game a little bit. We did have a plan, a neutral zone plan. We're going to take away the middle of the ice. They're a team that just loves to enter on possession, and knowing them statistically, analytically, they have more controlled entries than anyone in the league. They just hate giving the puck up. And in playoff hockey, sometimes that's not completely realistic. And I think it played into our hands. And obviously, we got a great performance from our goaltender. But I just love the way our guys gamed it out. And no point did I think going into that series we'd sweep it. So pretty special on the guys, and pretty exciting. And I know it was our 10th series. I know as a coaching staff, winning 10 in a row put us in some rarefied air there with only 3 other organizations, I believe. And obviously the last team to do it were the Islanders in the early 80s. So that was a special one, because a few teams had won 9 series in a row. But again, only 3 organizations in history have won 10 series in a row. So that's something as a coaching staff was driving us a little bit. We're excited to get.
I bet. Toronto gave you all you wanted.
Yeah, and I knew they would. I knew it's just watching the regular season play out. would have liked that extra home game. I know even down the stretch, we were pretty close with Toronto. Then we started to separate a little bit. It looked like Toronto for a while. And deep down, I knew that extra home game would be important. Unfortunately, we didn't get it, but that is a really good team. Man, we beat the 122 point, 115. Now, arguably the first and third best team. Maybe Colorado in there is the second best team overall. It's just obviously our division and what we had to go through, but that one, and then the level Austin Matthews was playing out every time he was on the ice. It seemed like he was dictating play. He just felt dangerous. So that was a hard series. It's as uncomfortable and tough as a series as we've faced in these 10 games and these 10 straight wins here. But it felt good to win, and I did enjoy a little bit to absolutely maximize the pain and suffering, because I have a lot of Toronto fans that are good friends of mine. So that was a great series, a special series, really neat to be in. Again, you're in the moment, but that building was electric. And then Game 7 in Toronto, I mean, it was just a buzz around that city and the feel of things, and being in that rink last night. Our guys played so well. That was an awesome experience, no doubt about it.
It must have been something for Zach, having played for you 2 years ago and played for Toronto last year, and then back with you this year. Had to be maybe a little more emotional for him.
For sure. A very unique experience. He became very close to a lot of those guys, and
I'm sure
a lot of those players. So that's a very unique situation. And, unfortunately for us, Zach had an unbelievable series. He had an impact on it. He was a big physical part of that series.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was an emotional, but all of our guys stepped up, and that wasn't an easy series. It was never comfortable. Obviously, we were on the brink, down 3-2 at home, losing in the third period to win that game in overtime, and then to go into Game 7, and we got their best, and it was awesome to pull through.
Yeah. Of course, from the fan side, you hear, how many Game 7s the Maple Leafs have lost, over the years, and how they just, it's like a monkey on their shoulder. And, is this the year they're going to break through and win a Game 7? And nope.
I felt a little bit for him, a little coaching fraternity. We're talking to the coaches after, and they really did do everything right. I know, talking with them, I mentioned that to them. An unbelievable regular season. Some of the things they improved upon from the previous year, they nailed it with their special teams. They did do everything right. It was just one of those series that you literally could have won either way. And I know they're feeling it. I know they're feeling the pain a little bit. And it's a difference on the markets. I know in 2018, before 2 Stanley Cups, obviously we got swept in the first round, and it was pain and agony for 4, 5, 6 days. And in our media market, it was gone. I know what they're up against and what they go through, so I feel for those guys a little bit. For my Toronto Maple Leafs fans that were actually heckling me throughout the series, I enjoyed winning that series.
Without mentioning any names, Kisser, because I know some of them, we chatted, some Maple Leaf fans, and I'm, boy, is this tough, Joe. I'm like, where the hell were you the last 2 years with the Islanders? I was in the same boat. Nobody had any sympathy for what Darren Wilson and I were going through, going, Jesus, this has been forever. And now we're playing against Kisser. And I'm like, this is great. This is great, you Maple Leaf fans. Have a good time with this series and see how gut-wrenching a Game 7 is with a buddy you love and the team you love. Have fun with that.
It's a funny dynamic, and I tell people all the time, and I obviously, it was an unbelievable day to be able to bring the Stanley Cup to Brazier, but I tell people all the time, you can root for them, but I will bring you the Stanley Cup. And I actually love the fact that I came through with that. The funny one was Mr. Roy. Lynn became his spokesperson. It was too painful for him.
That was one of them that I was talking about.
Yes, and he was, she obviously, her heart was in the right place. She got me through Spanish, and she labored me through all my Spanish classes. So there's a little bond between her and I. So I know where her heart was at, but I think it was what they've been through. Yeah, they did have their best season ever. They are a really good team. I'm on this side of it, but I do feel their pain. There's no doubt about it.
So Kisser, you guys got a little time here to recoup, and hopefully everybody's going to be healing up and healthy. Who are you anticipating to play this next round? Because it seems to be tight.
I think it's going to go 7. I foresee playing Carolina. I think they're prime to get over this series. They've just been through some bumps in the road and some adversity. It seems like you have to grow to get through some of these series. So I foresee them winning, but I could see the Rangers winning too. They have the best goalie in the series. He's special talent, and he can win games and he can win a series. So they're both going to be difficult. When you get into the Final Four, I really think it's been fortunate for us, just what we've had to go through in the Atlantic. I mean, last year we had to go through Florida and Carolina in the first 2 rounds. At the time, they felt like 2 of the better teams in the league, but we were only playing within division last year. Didn't really get a feel of many other teams. I knew this year, Florida, Toronto, Boston, these are arguably the 3 or 4 of the best teams in the entire league. So whoever you face, it's going to be hard. You're down to the Final Four. It's going to be a tough task.
I know that during the regular season, your games against the Rangers, 2 of them you were hurting with like COVID protocol. The game right after Christmas and the game right after New Year, I think. So that really doesn't give a good indication of how you stack up against them, as in the 2 teams.
Yeah, the regular season, it is what it is. Obviously, you saw both, Florida and Toronto. They were tight games. They played well. I really thought we got a taste of them. I think it was their last time we played them. The last time in New York. They beat us 4-0, and they really hammered us defensively. And that was an impressive, to me, that was a step as a team they took. They got up on us 2-0, and they gave us nothing. Team had to grow to get to that point. Obviously, we're there now, hence all the winning in these tight games and in the playoffs. But I thought that was a mature type win for them. It showed some growth in them. So, again, whoever it is, I think we were maybe 1-2 against Carolina. I think we were 0-3 versus New York with a couple overtime losses there. But I mean, again, the playoffs are different. People are different. Even ourselves, without breaking point, we're a much different team, and it's just going to be the reality of it come playoffs.
So, Kisser, how about the regular season this year? What was it like this year? Kind of back to normal, with a full season. Granted, there were some teams that hit some COVID stretches, but was it, 82 game season and back to being a normal? Was it fans back at, pretty much full capacity, at least in the States? How did the regular season go as compared to like the last 2 seasons?
Different. It was a bit of a grind. I think it wore on us a little more, and just the fact we had those 2 long playoff runs and then 2 short and off seasons. And I can say this now with some experience, that a Stanley Cup off season is an even shorter off season. It's hard to say no to things. I didn't miss many cup parties myself that weren't even mine. It's different. It's a shortened season. You're a little emotionally drained, physically drained. And then we had the All-Star / Olympic break. So it condensed our season again. So the front end of the season was nice, and then we're back to our regular schedule. We weren't playing the back-to-backs. We weren't playing the 3 and 4s that we experienced the year before. But after the All-Star break, it was right back to that type of schedule, type of season, and especially us. So it was a really tough balance for us to hold the guys accountable on performance with understanding the balance of what they were going through, both physically and mentally from fatigue. So that was a tough balance for us. There's many a time we kind of held off, and we were, I wouldn't say confused, but we had a lot of talks as a staff on how to approach some different times throughout our season. We get very little practice time. We need practice time. What kind of energy do we want to go through with the guys who practice? So it was a tough balance. And I think we nailed it. There was a couple times we made it uncomfortable for the guys, and we pushed hard down the stretch. And there's some times I thought we backed off. And the result is now, when obviously we're playing some of our best hockey when it really matters.
It had to feel good getting the crowd back in that arena. I want to tell you, I gotta explain to everybody my experience down there. There was 4 of us, 3 buddies of mine and myself. We went to the game that night, and we're looking around, and I look up the score clock. There's 10 minutes left to go before they drop the puck. I'm looking around, and there's nobody in the arena. There's hardly, there might be a couple thousand people, if that. I go on, we're shooting the shit back and forth. Excuse me. We're talking back and forth. And all of a sudden I look, the place is packed. And I've gone to a lot of hockey games in Montreal when I was younger. Nothing was like that game that I went to. The electricity in that place is unbelievable, hence the Lightnings. But unbelievable, Kisser. That has to add so much to the play for your players to get a little bit more push from the fans.
Yeah, for sure. It's an electric event there, and they've turned it into an event now. And we talk all the time. It is different. We go play the Canadian teams. They go watch the hockey, and it's just different. This is more of an event. They're going there for the hockey, but they're going there to be entertained. And I think a lot of that is the excitement before the games, the Thunder Alley, what's going on outside the rink is just as entertaining as what's going inside the rink. And again, I think we've built that excitement. We've built that fan base. And when we play those northern rival teams, the Rangers, even the Sabres, the Islanders, I mean, they come. Their fans come in droves too. It's a destination for those fans. A lot of people are transplanted down here. Like obviously that was a pro Lightning fan. It was a home ice advantage. But when the Rangers score, there's 1,800, 2,500 people. There's fans everywhere. We were actually worried about the Toronto series going into that building. Their building was unbelievable. I don't know if I've been, the Islanders last year was different, just smaller, close. They're on top of you, but this thing was electric, but nervous crowd. You could just feel the energy in the building. And then we're home, and the momentum of Toronto, the excitement. I was a little concerned with what our fan base would be like, and they killed it. We were unbelievable. It gave us a spark. We were able to get 2 games at home, not to give ourselves a game 7. So there is an advantage to that. I don't think people can appreciate it. I'm glad you were able to experience it. People don't, I think, appreciate what hockey in the South is like and what we've built in Tampa. They see us on TV, they see all the recent success, they see the Stanley Cups, but that's been like that for a while now. The Tampa Bay Lightning is an event, and we're very honored, and it's a special to play for it.
Oh, just standing outside before the game was unbelievable. The electricity just outside and just waiting to go up the stairs was unbelievable. The people were crazy. And it's like, This is fantastic. It was awesome. It really was.
It's good. Yes, we've built something special, and them as an organization, they do the right things in the community. I know we've talked about this. Great ownership. Obviously, I think it was a little bit of a perfect storm of doing it right as an organization throughout the community, and then adding the winning on top.
Well, I'm talking too much. I'll let the other 2 talk, and I'm sure they're going to bring up the big question. So I'll let them talk for a while.
What big question?
Let's get it out of the way. What's going on with the Red Wings?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll probably get in front of some people this summer. obviously we're having success as an organization. That's been sports for 100 years. Teams will look into teams that are having success. But it's taboo to talk to anyone during our season. Obviously we're under contract. So
Right.
this probably is a natural cycle. I think we're past that COVID. There hasn't been really a lot of openings over the last couple of years. And obviously right now there's 6 or 7 at the same time. So I think the timing's probably right for me, and I'll probably be able to talk to some people this season and off season and kind of see where it goes from there. I know I've kind of taken my whole career, just live in the moment, live in the present, be good at the job you're at. And if I'm in Tampa for the next 5-6 years, I'll be happy. It has been the personal side of it. My name's everywhere. My kids see it, they read, they see it on TV. They want to stay in Tampa. People don't realize the human part of it sometimes. I came home the other day and Abby announced that we're going nowhere. I didn't even know what she was talking about. And she read me some article or I'm going to be the next coach of the Blackhawks or Winnipeg Jets or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a human part of it, but if that time comes, I'll be ready for it. I do think I'm ready for it and prepared. So we'll just take it all in stride. Again, when I started this path out of college, the D3 route years ago, it was never about this. I never expected to coach the National Hockey League. I never expected for a second I may be a head coach in the National Hockey League. So I've taken it in stride, and I'll continue to do that going forward.
Well, we wish you nothing but the best, Derek, whatever your decision is there, and we'll follow you right straight through no matter what you do. So
No, I appreciate that. You might have to change some hats.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm always in for buying a new hat.
it's gonna be tough. I kind of like these.
Not gonna lie,
It's a
I was
good
kind of
cut.
rooting for Vegas. Make a destination city or something, Kiss.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Unfortunately, it's something reality. I would love a ready-made team if I get that opportunity, but I also realistic on where I'm at in my career, and I may have to take a rebuild or a situation like that. I do like showing up every night, and our goalie's Andre Vasilevsky. I don't think that is going to happen anywhere I go. So there's going to be some adjustments, but again, we'll take that all in stride, and hopefully it comes to me, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's unfortunately, like you said, the teams that are looking for head coaches have gotten rid of their head coaches for a reason, not because they're winning,
Yeah, and it's just surreal. Obviously some of these teams that are ready-made, the Vegases of the world, they're lining up for Barry Trotz, and there's a pecking order a little bit. So I understand that. And the good thing with this year is, I think last year we went late into the summer, and it was a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
And there was chatter that I was with some teams and was hopefully was going to be able to talk to a couple of teams, but everyone had their jobs filled by the time our season was over. I think this year will be a little bit different. We're going to end a little bit more traditional cycle. And I think most teams are going to wait for Barry Trotz. I don't think he's in any rush. So it might play in my favor where this long playoff run sometimes hurts you to get an interview and get in front of some of these people, where I think the timing might actually help this year.
Kisser, did anything change during the regular season this year when it came to it became pretty obvious? Like, I'm just curious how you guys handled, say, the last month and a half, when it became pretty obvious that it was going to be the 8 teams that made it in the Eastern Conference, if you know what I mean. The Islanders were hanging around for as long as they could. But so do you guys play that different? Are you still trying to fight for position, or is hockey really that one sport where, like, hey, we're going to stay healthy because as long as we're in, we got a chance?
That is a phenomenal question, because we talked about that more than anything in our unique situation. I don't know if it'll ever happen again. Literally, the 8 teams were locked realistically by Thanksgiving, and just the way it was going to play out, it would have took something extraordinary for those 8 teams. And this is, I believe, it was the first time in the history of the NHL 8 teams in one conference were over 100 points. So it's just a unique season where it's literally split now. So there was some motivation in there. it was tough to push on our guys. The fact of what we went through over the last few years, the long playoff runs, the shortened seasons, the condensed seasons, to push these guys and to hold them accountable. I was kind of doing that earlier. We always talk about positioning is important, and there's a reality to it. Would we have loved to play Toronto at home in Game 7? Absolutely. I think it would have looked a little bit different. I think we're very fortunate to win there. And, one thing we preached to the guys down the stretch, if they recall last year's Stanley Cup run, rounds 1 and 2, we started in Florida, we started in Carolina, and we were underdogs. And then round 3, the conference finals, the Islanders, we had home ice advantage, which was huge. Game 7 at home to go on to the Stanley Cup finals. And we had home ice advantage versus Montreal, got up 2-0. We did preach that. It's funny, you look back now and you're always looking to motivate guys. And we were down the stretch and it got late in the season. We had those 3 games late. We played 3 and 4 nights, and we know where we're sitting. We're going to finish 3rd. But we talked about, okay, we're not going to catch Florida. We're not going to catch Toronto, but we might catch the Rangers. We need this game. We need these last games down the stretch. We might catch Boston, which we might see. And sure enough, we finished 115 point wise with the Rangers. They get home ice with us. If they're able to get by Carolina, we're going to start on the road. So that was a tough balance for us. We knew the guys were mentally fatigued. We know they were physically fatigued, but we also know there is things to play for. So we had a few of those conversations, and we had such a veteran group. We trusted that veteran group, but every time we would pull someone aside or try to break them down on what's going on, they're like, "Coach, we're fine. We got this." That confidence is unbelievable, and it's exactly the reason why we win. But it's also tough to manage at times throughout the regular season.
Well, it was, watching it from afar, it just felt like that. I'm like, geez, these guys are locked, we know the 8. And
yes.
I wondered how serious,
there are those conversations. Yes. And then it's whoever you play. Like, I mean, we caught Florida in their worst 8 days of their season. That's the worst they played all year, and they didn't have the same game. You could see they were battling it. They were battling it was crazy to watch. And so you never know who you're going to face. If Boston would have faced us down the stretch, it would have been easier to go through the other conference as a wild card. So you really can't handicap it, but those home ice games are important. And we talked about how electric our building is. Our record speaks for itself at home. So there's something there. But that was a tough balance and battle throughout. We had many sleepless nights of how to handle this down the stretch.
How disappointed was Coop not getting that Olympic opportunity?
He was crushed. He was absolutely crushed. Yes. I mean, a proud Canadian. He's no different than I am. There's days we wake up, can't believe we're in the positions we're in, and now he's an opportunity to be the Canadian Olympic coach. So he was extremely disappointed, and you could tell all the players were. I mean, Victor Hedman, he was depressed. Like he's never played in the Olympics. He's going to go down as one of the greatest Swedish players of all time. And those guys love playing for the country. You see the World Championships now. These guys get done. The Europeans, they rush right home. Pasternak is an absolute superstar, and he's playing for the Czech Republic 3 days later in the World Championships. These guys love playing for the country, love representing their country, and they were crushed. It was taken away from them. So I'm thinking with the CBA here in the NHL, hopefully something will shake down with the World Cup in time and maybe the Olympics. But these guys, they're Coop, our guys. I mean, we would have had almost 11 guys. A couple Jan Ruda, who was not on the radar for Czech Republic, would have made that team. Things like Chernak, Eric Chernak, was going to be one of the captains and leaders of the Slovakia team. And obviously the guys were crushed. So yes, and Coop was no different.
So getting back to this year's playoffs, You remember from last year, I like the stats. I like player stats and team stats, and so the stat that is glaring in front of me this year is shots on goal. Can you keep it up with the shot on goal discrepancy? I mean, you've been outshot quite a bit in some games, haven't you?
Yeah, but there is some truth to that. It's the way some teams play. I look at Carolina; they're a shot volume team.
Right.
We're more.
Quality
we grade
shot.
ourselves on chances for, chances against, and grade A chances for, grade A chances against. We'll have a better feel on analytic games. For instance, the first 3 games of the Florida series, we gave up 12, 13, and 13 chances. And we win every time. We play them the game. We're lucky enough to shut them out, but they outchance us 22, 13, somewhere in there. It's a game we don't usually win. You guys saw the game. Vasi was probably the difference in that game. Yeah, no, we're not a shot volume team. We like to possess the puck. You see us in our own zone. For me, it is chances, and that's what we slot chances, grade A chances, east-west chances. That's where we grade ourselves. So there's many a game we'll go out of the game being outshot, but we may have outchanced the team. So no, I don't. I don't really look at shots. It's kind of the modern day plus minus. There's some truth to it, but shot volume, some guys analytically, Corsi wise, some guys put pucks on anywhere to help their own numbers.
Right.
It's quality shots, it's interslot shots, it's east-west shots. And again, we grade ourselves grade A's. Even the other night, we got 40 plus shots, 20 chances against, but they probably had 7 or 8 grade A's. So again, statistically, that's not an awful game. The predictive goals for was probably about a 2.3, 2.4 for Florida, which is good. And ours was not. We were about a 1.8, 1.9. So analytically, they probably should have won that game. But again, a 2.3, 2, that's not bad. We've gone to games and they're going up a 3, 2, a 4, which are high numbers. So it can be sustainable as long as you're not giving up the grade A's.
Right. And you got a hell of a goaltender. So, I mean,
I was going to say, Vaz must be seeing shots in his sleep.
Yeah, well, I think the big thing for him is he's seeing shots, and if we're limiting the east-west, analytically, the things he struggles with, most goalies do, are shots through traffic and anything east-west. And we limit those, we're good. And we have a willingness to block shots. We have gamers. I think we're leading the playoffs in block shots. Our block shots per game. The perfect example on Friday, or excuse me, all the days, Monday, in the playoffs, there's no days of the week. It's game 1, 2, whatever. On game 4 versus Florida, we had more shot blocks than we had shot attempts in the first period. It's not a stat you like to hear that's sustainable, but it gets you through a period in which you got outplayed, in which we did. And that's why we're having success. And that's why we're kind of on this run that we've been over the last 3 years in the playoffs.
Yeah, because along with those shot blocks, you're leading in visits to the training room, to the trainer's room.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, and there's some truth to that. We people ask all the time, was this break going to be good? And it was healthy for us to beat Toronto on a Saturday and play immediately right after. There was some momentum from it.
Right.
We need a break. We're nicked, we're bruised. We'll skate tomorrow for the first time. We'll have 4 guys that want to be able to skate that need the time off. So this I don't know how the next series is going to play out, but we needed to finish that in 4. Even games 5, 6, and 7 would have been tough. We had a lot of key players that had some nicks and bruises in those last couple of games.
Hopefully they get a well-deserved rest before this next. You guys should come out perfect in the next game, really energized, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so. And there's something away from you. You cannot replicate the intensity of a playoff game. There is something about being off too long. Whoever comes out of this series, they might get a little advantage in games 1 or 2 because they're playing at such a high level. And we just can't replicate it. We kept a few of our aces around. We'll probably have a scrimmage like look on Friday, maybe even Saturday for our guys. But you can't replicate playoff intensity. So it could go either way. Every game has a life of itself. You just try to grab that momentum whenever you can.
Well, Kisser, what about on the other side of things? I mean, obviously you don't want to jump ahead, but you're also you're a hockey guy. You're keeping track of what's going on in the Western Conference. I mean, Colorado looks like
For sure.
the team.
Yeah, and they're special. I mean, even St. Louis is a heavy playoff built team. I think any of the team that comes out of Alberta, I mean, Calgary's looked like that team all year. We faced Edmonton at the end of the year when they were really playing well. When you start getting into these final eights, these finals fours, I've seen it now, and everyone's good. Everyone warrants being there. Literally, there's no one we want to play going forward. We are excited for the opportunity, whoever we play. But when I watch these teams on TV, and I get nervous, like that's going to be a tough out. This team looks great. They're peaking. When you get this far, when you turn 32 teams into 4, I mean, anyone can win it.
True. Very true. Everybody seems to step up their game this time of year. That's for sure.
Well, I think, everyone says that cliche of the first round being the toughest round. That is real. And I've experienced enough now. It's now you start sniffing it, you start feeling it. Even our group, we got some momentum from just getting through Toronto. Yes, the emotions of that win and the way we played in Game 7, but there's a little relief. And I was a little worried because I didn't love Florida's game versus Washington. They did not look like the same team in the regular season. They looked tentative. They didn't look like they did throughout the regular season. But I thought just getting through that first round would give that momentum. But we were able to jump them a little bit, and they still had a little of that nervousness. They looked a little tight in those first couple of games, and we took advantage of it. So it's tough to handicap. It's tough to feel. Again, each series kind of takes a life of itself.
Yeah, a lot of people, the buzz around a lot of people I know was that was the finals game right there. The best that would have been the finals game against Toronto. That series right there was probably the series of the playoffs. So squeaking out of there was huge, but I didn't think you guys would come out like that.
Yeah, either did we. I mean, every series kind of feels like that. It felt like that with the Islanders last year, going to Game 7. It felt like that Florida, the first series that year. Getting through Boston, Stanley Cup run number 1, felt like that. So I give our guys credit. They have this mental fortitude about them that makes them special. No situation is too big for them. We do have gamers, and just to see some of these guys evolve on, Steven Stamkos, our captain's eating pucks and blocking shots, and it's just really neat to see everyone buy in and the success we have, and to get rewarded for it too. The one pitcher, we have a lot of attitude clips. We'll have our game plan. We'll show the structure. This is how we're going to look in the neutral zone or da-da-da-da. But we always finish our meetings right before our game with the attitude clips. And the one clip that we showed that night after Game 2 was Steven Stamkos. We showed him eating a puck and eating it with his hand when we had a defensive breakdown. Ekblad walked right in. He ate a puck. It was an unbelievable block. So we show the block, and then we show Hagel's block, similar situation off a face-off breakdown, each another puck. Yep. And then they had an unbelievable shot where Steven Stamkos was coming back onto the bench from getting checked in the locker room. And he literally had to wait and move out of the way as Brandon Hagel was limping through him. Yeah. There wasn't enough room in the locker room. Yeah. And it was a picture for our guys, just what it takes and how rewarding it was. So it's been fun to watch, fun to be part of. Again, I seeing these stats of the third team and the history along with the Islanders, the Oilers and the Canadians have won 10 series, or be part of it is unbelievably special. But what the guys have done, like, I'm not sacrificing. I took a puck off my shin on a face-off the other day, and I screamed like a girl. I'm not. The guys were all over me. So it's amazing what they're going through, but it just goes to show, our sports psychologist is always in our head as coaching staff to have messages. And, the one thing resonated with me the other day, he's like, everyone knows what it takes, but few teams are willing. And we're a team that has shown themselves to be willing.
I had a funny conversation with my brother the other night, game 4. We're texting, and he goes, "It's a goal." No, it's not a goal. Never mind. It's a goal. No, again, not a goal. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, Tampa better win this game, or there's a referee that's going to get death threats.
Yeah.
I said, even though they were good calls, but hockey fans don't always agree with that.
Yeah, no, they don't. As a staff,
as a staff.
Yeah, we knew they were both coming back immediately. And in reality, we were getting outplayed. Would have been nice to be up 1-0, 2-0, of course, but the fact that we were getting outplayed, it never phased us at all on those goals. And that's what replay's for, to get it right. And, the first one probably took a little longer than anyone wanted. And that's the way it goes.
The conversation on TV, on the television broadcast during that first delay where they were doing replay, they focused on, and my mind's gone blank, on your guy in the corner that flipped the puck out.
Andre Palat,
And his reaction was, and he just stopped because he knew it hit the net.
Yeah, I just think, I'm assuming it hit the net. Like, we're the same way. We couldn't see it hit the net.
Right.
Now, the way it came out was it could have came out flat, and it might have not. Like, John Cooper was convinced it didn't hit the net.
Right.
Ryan Garlock, our video coach, was convinced it did hit the net, and he's the one watching the replays in my ear, relaying. So we couldn't see it. Obviously, the fact that it almost took them 10 minutes, they didn't see it either in Toronto. But there is a stipulation within the rule that you don't actually have to see it hit the net, which is probably the right thing. If you can assume, or they probably made the right call. Sometimes I know we went through, I believe in the game 2, where they clearly hit the netting.
Oh yeah.
And the rest did the right thing. The rest came over like, hey, guys, I really think it hit the netting, but this is the call on the ice. These are the rules. You have to. He almost led us to it. And it was an easy call for us to challenge hitting the netting. They want to get it right, and they did.
Yeah.
So it's that was an interesting period. There's no doubt about it. So we felt very fortunate the way the game was going to be out of it 0-0. But at the same time, we didn't feel very fortunate. We could have been up 2-0 also.
Right. Just it's so unusual to have 2 goals disallowed.
Yes.
All right, Kisser. Well, before we wind things down, let's get off hockey for a second. And what was it like in Tampa when the King decided that he was coming back for another season to play quarterback in town?
It was pretty crazy. It was, and the rumors swirl. And Tampa's small enough. Our guys become pretty good buddies with some of those guys. And it sounded like the rumor immediately was Tom Brady, and this was from the guys. They know. They like whatever. Tom Brady was going to go be part of the ownership group in Miami, and in time, he was going to end up coming out of retirement, be their quarterback, and Peyton from the New Orleans was going to be the coach. And you hear these things, you're like, whatever, like that. And so then you can see it play out. They made Bucks made some statements. He has to, because there's the stipulations within his contract where they had to let him go or like that. And they're like, he's not complaining or else. And then he ends up signing. And then those rumors started to come out. And it's just crazy how it sounds. So obviously huge excitement. They still have a nice window there. They're a big deal around Tampa. Everyone loves the Bucks. They love all their teams in there. So it was kind of neat. And the success them and the Rays have had, I've become a fan myself. I can't root for my Expos, but I certainly, they are my second because I'm a huge Buffalo Bills fan. And that's the two huge passions in my life have been the Montreal Expos and Buffalo Bills. And I am in the midst of being rewarded for my Buffalo Bills.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the best quarterback. I mean, that quarterback they got is built for Buffalo.
Needs money.
Yeah, so I mean, I expect Buffalo to be, as long as he's your quarterback, I don't care what's around him.
Gosh, yeah.
He is perfect for Buffalo weather, and the new field you're going to be getting. They're keeping it outdoors, which is great. It's not going to be an enclosed facility. So good for Buffalo. Good for Buffalo.
Getting some good wear out of my Fred Smirlis jersey.
Throwback.
Yes.
Hey, and Kisser, it's funny. I have an Expos cap. I've got 30 caps. I wear your cap.
Yeah.
No cap conjures up more conversations than my Expos.
Expos, yes.
Hey, where'd you get that Expos cap? Oh man, do I miss them guys? And I wore it to Florida one time when I went down to visit my father. It was more unbelievable down there because of all the people that travel south.
Tampa, for sure. Yes.
Hopefully, Kisser, someday they come back. I think baseball, if they decide to add 2 more teams, that's where they would go. But we can only hope.
That'd be great. I have to get my French going again, or touch up on my French.
Oui.
Yeah. Well, Kisser, time's flown again. It was a quick 45 minutes, but we got a lot in 45 minutes.
Absolutely.
We are very honored on this little show to have you on here all the time. And I'm glad you put some time aside for us, and we really do appreciate it.
Always have time for you guys. And even the build up to that Stanley Cup and then the day of the Stanley Cup at home, it's still surreal, but so my greatest memories, and you guys made that happen. So I appreciate that.
You're more than welcome.
No, we're looking forward to it again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're ready. Yeah. All nighter this time.
Yes.
My liver has been cleansed. It's just about cleaned out. So I'm good to go.
You're ready? Yeah.
Oh, once you drink out of the cup, it's cleansed for life.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're immune from any kind of diseases.
Yes.
All right, sorry. No, go ahead, Dave.
Real quick, I've run into some hockey people, some NHL people up here. And a friend of mine was telling this former NHL player, and I've forgotten his name. He played for the Flyers for like 6 games. But anyway, she was telling him about, he's drank out of the Stanley Cup. And he looked over at me, he says, no, he hasn't. And I just sat there. I didn't say a word. And she goes, no, he's shown me pictures. He goes, no, he hasn't. And she's trying to convince him that yes, he has. And he said, well, he must know somebody. And I said, that I do.
Yes, there is something sacred about that for sure, and people take it very serious. So
that is of all the things that I appreciate about getting to know you and having you on the show and meeting you, and that is probably the top thing, is to allow me to experience something like that.
That was special, and that's what it's about. And I love sharing it. It was just, there was a few people that, it's funny, at the end of the night, people they kept coming through.
Yeah,
some guys were getting that experience 3-4 times, which is again what it's all about. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Kisser, just one more thing, because Dave brought this up. It's pretty cool for me to go into Richie's garage. He has got a beautiful blown up picture of the Stanley Cup and the Bastard Scramble Cup that when we sat them next to each other.
Yeah, I remember.
It's just
it was awesome.
And then And then Mickey's got a picture of when you and I were next to both of those cups, and he's got that up at Meadowbrook because both those cups mean so much to him.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
it's really cool now to see the memories of that day in certain places that I'm hanging out. It was just, it will always go down as I'll never forget that day. It was an awesome experience.
Yes,
hopefully we can redo it. We'll have some experience at it now. We'll even make it better.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah,
It's funny.
We were seat of our pants that day. We didn't know what we were doing.
I don't know. How do you top that, Kisser? I don't know.
Well, I don't. I mean, again, I know we talked about it when we had that show after, but it was truly. It could honestly, it went beyond my expectation. It couldn't have went any better. But you win the 2 cups. You never think you're going to win one. And
Right.
the first experience was neat in itself, in that it was COVID, but I was able to experience it with my family in Tampa. It was very intimate. You know, to be in my living room, having my parents drink out of the Stanley, things like that are just beyond belief. But I've told my kids, if we win a third one, it's their day. And I didn't really think we would win a third one. And that's the fact that we're on pace to actually do it again. I'm worried I may have to tell them, no, it's probably coming back to Brazier. Like, cause they, I might have wrote a check I can't cash with them there. And I'm like, hey, third one's all yours, whatever you guys want. And now we're like, oh my God, like we're in the conference finals again. Like, so,
That's right. Repeat. Yep.
yeah, we'll cross that path if it comes.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, man.
That's right. We wish you nothing but the best on going through the rest of the playoffs, Kisser, and hopefully we can keep in touch and get updated from you.
Absolutely. Always a treat talking to you guys, and anytime.
Sounds good. That's going to be it here tonight on ESS Empire State Sports and the Wise Guys Sports Talk Show. For Dave and Joey and myself, we want to thank Derek Lalonde, our special guest. And good night, everybody, and stay safe.